Good evening, everybody. I hope you are well today and that you have had a gorgeous Friday. For those of you in Europe and, oh, look, Georgie's come to say hello. For those of you in Europe and I assume South America, you're just about to enter the weekend and have a couple of days off. I hope they're going to be very, very pleasant. And we'll see you next week. In the meantime, I am going to be reading tonight from the 130... Yeah, I can't pay you attention now, though. Look, all those people are going to be listening to me in a minute. Yes, they are. And then when I'm done, then I can pay you attention. Yes, I can. Go away now. Go away, Georgie. Shoo, shoo. It's always the way, isn't it? They ignore you for hours and then, it's like a child. They ignore you for hours and then when you want to actually do something, they come for cuddles and strokes. Right, I'm going to be reading. My name is Joanna Godwin Seidl. I run Vienna Theatre Project. During the lockdown, we started the reading of 1001 Arabian Nights with my colleague and dear friend, Saman Girard. We are continuing to do the readings because some places in the world there are still lockdowns going on. And we're just facing a very, very strange and difficult time at the moment. So I hope you are going to enjoy today's reading of the 131st and potentially the 132nd night. Let's see how we do for time. Now go away, Georgie. Stop. Okay? Go away, boo-boo. All right. So, without further ado, dear children, I hope you are sitting comfortably. Then please let us begin. Now, are you comfortable, Georgie, too? Georgie's comfortable too, then we're all okay. Now, when it was the 131st night, Shahrazad said, "It has reached me, O auspicious king, that King Shahriman thus addressed the Wazir and Aziz. Salute your king from me, and inform him of what ye have heard, namely that any daughter misliketh marriage, that my daughter mislike marriage." So they turned away unsuccessful, and ceased not faring on till they rejoined the king and told him what had happened. Whereupon he commanded the chief officers to summon the troops and get them ready for marching and campaigning. But the wazir said to him, "O my liege lord, do not thus. The king is not at fault, because when his daughter learnt our business, she sent a message saying, 'If my father force me to wed whomsoever I wed, I will slay and myself after him.' So the refusal cometh from her." When the king heard his minister's words, he feared for Taj al-Muluk and said, "Verily, if I make war on the king of the Camphor Islands and carry off his daughter, she will kill herself, and it will avail me naught." Then he told his son how the case stood, who, hearing it, said, "O my father, I cannot live without her. So I will go to her and contrive to get at her, even though I die in the attempt, and this only will I do, and nothing else." Asked his father, "How wilt thou go to her?" And he answered, "I will go in the guise of a merchant." Then said the king, "If thou need must go, and there is no help for it, take with thee the wazir and Aziz." Then he brought out money from his treasuries and made ready for his son merchandise to the value of 100,000 dinars. The two had settled upon this action, and when the dark hours came, Taj al-Muluk and Aziz went to Aziz's lodgings and there passed that night. And the prince was heart-smitten, taking no pleasure in food or in sleep. For melancholy was heavy upon him, and he was agitated with longing for his beloved. So he besought the Creator that he would vouchsafe to unite him with her, and he wept, and he groaned, and he wailed, and began versifying, "Union, this severance ended, shall I see some day? Then shall my tears this lovelorn lot of me portray. While night all care forgets, I only minded thee, and thou didst scar me wake while all forgetful lay." And then his improvising came to an end. He wept with sore weeping, and Aziz wept with him, for that he remembered his cousin, and they both ceased not to shed tears till morning dawned, whereupon Taj al-Muluk rose and went to farewell his mother in travelling dress. She asked him of his case, and he repeated the story to her. So she gave him 50,000 gold pieces and bade him adieu. And as he fared forth, she put up prayers for his safety and for his union with his lover and his friends. Then he betook himself to his father and asked his leave to depart. The king granted him permission, and presenting him with other 50,000 dinars, bade set up a tent for him without the city, and they pitched a pavilion wherein the travellers abode 2 days. Then all set out on their journey. Now, Taj al-Muluk delighted in the company of Aziz, and said to him, "O my brother, henceforth I can never part from thee." Replied Aziz, "And I am of like mind, and fain would I die under thy feet. But, O my brother, my heart is concerned for my mother. When we shall have won our wish," said the prince, "there will be naught save what is well." Now the wazir continued charging Taj al-Muluk to be patient, whilst Aziz entertained him every evening with talk and recited poetry to him, and diverted him with histories and anecdotes. And so they fared on diligently, night and day, for 2 whole months, till the way became tedious to Taj al-Muluk, and the fire of desire redoubled on him, and he broke out, The road is longsome, grow my grief and need, while on my breast love fires for ever feed. Goal of my hope, sole object of my wish, by him who moulded man from drop of seed. I bear such loads of longing for thy love, dearest, as weight of al-shumum mounts exceed. O Lady of my world, love does me die. No breath of life is left for life to plead. But for the union hope that lends me strength, my weary limbs were weak this way to speed. When he had finished his verses, he wept, and Aziz wept with him, from a wounded heart, till the minister was moved to pity by their tears, and said, O my lord, be of good cheer, and keep thine eyes clear of tears. There will be naught save what is well. Quoth Taj al-Muluk, O Wazir, indeed I am weary of the length of the way. Tell me how far we are yet distant from the city. Quoth Aziz, but a little way remaineth to us. Then they continued their journey, cutting across river vales and plains, wolds and stony wastes, till one night, as Taj al-Muluk was sleeping, he dreamt that his beloved was with him, and that he embraced her and pressed her to his bosom. And he awoke, quivering, shivering with pain, delirious with emotion, and improvised these verses. Dear friend, my tears I flow these cheeks adown, with longsome pain and pine my sorrows crown. I plain like keening woman child bereft, and as night falls like widow dove I groan, and blow the breeze from land where thou dost wone. I find o'er sunburnt earth sweet coolness blown. Peace be with thee, my love, while Zephyr breathes, and Kashat flies, and turtles make her moan. And when he had ended versifying, the Wazir came to him and said, Rejoice, this is a good sign. So be of good cheer, and keep thine eyes cool and clear, for thou shalt surely compass thy desire. And Aziz also came to him and exhorted him to patience, and implied himself to divert him, talking with him and telling him tales. So they pressed on, marching day and night, other 2 months, till there appeared to them one day at sunrise some white thing in the distance. And Taj al-Muluk said to Aziz, What is yonder whiteness? He replied, O my lord, yonder is the castle of crystal, and that is the city thou seekest. At this the prince rejoiced, and they ceased not faring forwards till they drew near the city. And as they approached it, Taj al-Muluk joyed with exceeding joy, and his care ceased from him. They entered in the trader guise, the king's son being habited as a merchant of importance, and repaired to a great khan known as the merchant's lodging. Quoth Taj al-Muluk to Aziz, Is this the resort of the merchants? And quoth he, Yes, 'tis the khan, wherein I lodged before. So they alighted there, and making their baggage camels kneel, unloaded them, and stored their goods in the warehouses. They abode 4 days for rest, when the Wazir advised that they should hire a large house. To this they assented, and they found them a spacious house fitted up for festivities, where they took up their abode. And the Wazir and Aziz studied to devise some device for Taj al-Muluk, who remained in a state of perplexity, knowing not what to do. Now, The minister could think of nothing but that he should set up as merchant on 'Change and in the market of fine stuffs. So he turned to the prince and his companion and said to them, "Excuse me, it's a bit late already. Know ye that if we tarry here on this wise, assuredly we shall not win our wish nor attain our aim. But as something occurred to me whereby, if Allah please, we shall find our advantage," replied Taj al-Muluk and Aziz. "Do what seemeth good to thee. Indeed, there is a blessing on the greybeard, more specially on those who, like myself or thyself, are conversant with the conduct of affairs. So tell us what occurreth to thy mind." Rejoined the wazir, "It is my counsel that we hire thee a shop in the stuff bazaar, where thou mayest sit to sell and buy. Everyone, great and small, hath need of silken stuffs and other cloths. So if thou patiently abide in thy shop, thine affairs will prosper, inshallah, more by token as thou art comely of aspect. Make, however, Aziz thy factor, and set him within the shop to hand thee the pieces of cloth and stuffs." When Taj al-Muluk heard these words, he said, "This reed is right, and a right pleasant recking." So he took out a handsome suit of merchant's weed, and putting it on, set out for the bazaar, followed by his servants, to one of whom he had given 1,000 dinars wherewith to fit up the shop. They ceased not walking till they came to the stuff market, and when the merchants saw Taj al-Muluk's beauty and grace, they were confounded, and went about saying, "Of a truth, Rizwan hath opened the gates of paradise and left them unguarded, so that this youth of passing comeliness hath come forth." And others, "Peradventure, this is one of the angels." Now, when they went in among the traders, they asked for the shop of the overseer of the market, and the merchants directed them thereto. So they delayed not to repair thither, and to salute him. And he, and those who were with him, rose to them, and seated them, and made much of them, because of the wazir, whom they saw to be a man in years, and of reverend aspect. And viewing the youths Aziz and Taj al-Muluk in his company, they said to one another, "Doubtless, our sheikh is the father of these two youths." Then quoth the wazir, "Who among is the overseer of the market?" "This is he," they replied. And behold, he came forward, and the wazir observed him narrowly, and saw him to be an old man of grave and dignified carriage, with eunuchs and servants and slaves. The syndic greeted them with the greeting of friends, and was lavish in his attentions to them. Then he seated them by his side and asked them, "Have ye any business which ye may have the happiness of transacting?" The minister answered, "Yes, I am an old man, stricken in years, and have with me these two youths, with whom I have travelled through every town and country, entering no great city without tarrying there a full year, that they might take their pleasure in viewing it and come to know its citizens. Now, I have visited your town, intending to sojourn here for a while, so I want of thee a handsome shop in the best situation, wherein I may establish them, that they may traffic and learn to buy and sell and give and take, whilst they divert themselves with the sight of the place and become familiar with the usages of its people." Quoth the overseer, "There is no harm in that." And looking at the two youths, he delighted with them, and affected with them a warm affection. Now, he was a great connoisseur of bewitching glances, preferring the love of boys to that of girls, and inclining to the sour rather than the sweet of love. So he said to himself, "This indeed is fine game. Glory be to him who created and fashioned them out of vile water." And rising, stood before them like a servant to do them honour. Then he went out and made ready for them a shop, which was in the very midst of the exchange, nor was there any larger or better in the bazaar. For it was spacious and handsomely decorated and fitted with shelves of ivory and ebony wood. After this, he delivered the keys to the wazir, who was dressed as an old merchant, saying, "Take them, O my lord, and Allah make it a blessed abiding place to thy two sons." The minister took the keys, and the three, returning to the khan where they had alighted, bade the servants transport to the shop all their goods and stuffs. And Shahrazad perceived the dawn of day and ceased saying her permitted say. Well, it'll be interesting to find out what on earth happens next. Dear friends, it is a Friday night and I am not on my own this evening. So as a result, I still read for you, and as a result, I am going to love and leave you with this one night, which is what it should be every night actually, though some of them are so short, like only a page. It always seems too much of a shame not to read on and find out what's going on next. However, I'm going to leave you on this cliffhanger. They've got their shop, they've got their merchandise, they've got the head of the merchants who seems to be potentially a little bit of a creepy character. So, and a maiden who does not want to get married and is going to kill the man who marries her. So we can only hope that this is going to go well. And if it doesn't, well, that's going to be a shame, but that's the way 1001 Arabian Nights how it works, right? Sometimes it really works out very well, and then other times, like in the case of poor Aziz, it doesn't work out at all, and poor Aziz had his things chopped off. Can you imagine? With cheese strings as well or something. It was very strange, very horrible, unfortunately. But what we haven't seen, I don't know if you've noticed, what we have been missing in a long time is an Ifrit or an Ifritina. No gens, no genies. Where have they all gone? We're missing them, aren't we? I certainly am. Missing a good old gin story. Maybe something will turn up. I'm going to take a quick sip of water before I say goodbye to you because I'm quite thirsty. And I don't know what you noticed, but you probably didn't. But I've actually got some incense. But you can't see it because my incense burning behind me. There we go. Oh, you can see. Can you see now? It's kind of there. There you go. And I had this incense burning behind me. And the problem with incense is it actually makes me sneeze. So at some stage through the reading, I was like, that's when I did that. I was like, don't sneeze. You've already yawned. You've already made a couple of mistakes. Don't sneeze on top of everything else. Well, there we go. It is almost half an hour, and that's how long we read for or longer. I wish you a very wonderful day if your day has only just started, or afternoon if you are already an afternoon time. If you're in Australia, good morning. How are you today? I hope you're going to have a wonderful day today. If it is night time for you, like it is here, then, oh, look, Georgie. Oh, Georgie, don't knock it over. Georgie's come to say goodbye. Sit, Georgie. Sit. Don't knock the thing.